Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. It is Friday, March 11th, 2022, and the national organizations SEL for Us and the Urban Assembly have done incredible work to promote the third annual International SEL Day. My name is Julie Smythe, and I am here this morning as the Director of the Office of School and Student Supports for the Maine Department of Education. The OSSS, as we like to call ourselves, sees social emotional learning as a foundation for ourselves as educators and human beings. I am so pleased to introduce our commitment to International SEL Day by taking a walk down memory lane with four amazing individuals who have been instrumental in providing Maine educators, students, and parents with tools and strategies needed for all of us to be the best thinkers, workers, collaborators, neighbors, the best Mainers we can be. With me this morning are Pender Macon, our Commissioner for the Maine Department of Education, Mary Herman, our Director of Special Projects for the Maine Department of Education, Anna Hicks, Senior Analyst in the Governor's Office and Coordinator of the Maine's Children's Cabinet, and Bear Shea, our Climate, Culture, Resilience Coordinator, as well as Mental Health School Counselor Specialist for the Maine Department of Education. Before we begin, however, in honor of International SEL Day, I feel I would be remiss if I did not offer pause and share that our thoughts are with our neighbors in Ukraine. And I would also be remiss if I did not draw attention to the fact that it was 2 years ago today that many of us in education left our classrooms, left our buildings, thinking that we would be gone for 2 weeks as we learn more about COVID-19. So for all the turmoil and loss that we have been through, our thoughts are with all of you and our appreciation with all of our school personnel today as well. Now back to our main celebration of International SEL Day. I'd like to start with you, Commissioner Macon. I understand that conversations around student and staff social emotional wellness began before the pandemic. What historical perspective can you provide us that brings us to where we are today in Maine education and social emotional learning?
Thank you so much, Julie. I'm delighted to answer that question because I'm so proud of this work and so excited about what lies ahead for our state and for our education system. Back in January of 2019, Maine Department of Education shifted our focus to ensure healthy, safe learning environments for all learners and for their teachers and for the staff who support our schools. Our leadership team is actually comprised of actual experts from the field. All of us who are now doing this work have been educators, staff members, van drivers, counselors, school leaders, and district leaders. And so we deeply understand the work in the field and the importance of social emotional learning as a critical prerequisite for all other learning, really. We've been working, so we know that learning occurs best when people are safe and well-fed and active, and above all else, connected to one another and to the work they're doing. We actually evolved as a species to be connected to others. Valuing connectedness is in our deepest part of our brains. We're not particularly fast or strong as a species, and compared with some of those wild predators out there, it's a miracle we survived this long, and we did it by working together as a team, by being connected to the others around us and leveraging our collective and different and similar strengths to keep moving forward. And honestly, to be isolated, connectedness is one of the biggest, it's a fear area and an anxiety area for many people. To be isolated is almost to be in physical, mortal danger. And we evolved in that way. So in order to be connected to others, we got to know ourselves, right? We have to know who we are, how we interact, how we're feeling at any given moment, and what does that mean, and how does it reflect through our behaviors, through all of our interactions with other people. So we know that social emotional learning is a whole set of skills and understandings that will help us to do that. It's critical to surviving, to thriving, and these are also very much prerequisite, as I mentioned earlier, to learning. In order to support our state's education system, we developed the Office of School and Student Supports. This was back in 2019, mind you. And This is to support all schools with the resources, information, a listening ear, a live office hours, and all of the types of support that educators, school leaders, parents, and students could access. We also were then, providing trauma-informed practices statewide. And so that was really catching on when suddenly a pandemic hit. And it placed Maine, like every other school system on the planet, into a very hard, very challenging situation. But I believe we were a bit more ready to support our students and to support our schools than most any other place because of the work that had been done already by the amazing team at OSSS. Today, social emotional learning is a national focus as schools and states across the nation begin to sift through the rubble and pick up the pieces and start to move forward as we emerge from the emergency phases of this pandemic. And because we are a little bit further along in our work, we're going to be ready to launch information and resources very soon to support what we call a whole student approach to education. This approach will emphasize social emotional learning, nutrition, active learning, innovation, and deeply connected learning environments that are safe and healthy and inclusive for all people. I am excited to let you know that you'll be hearing much more about that soon, and I'm going to hand it right back. Oh, maybe I hand it directly to Mary Herman. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Commissioner. That was terrific. And as you, it is an honor to be part of the Maine Department of Education, and I'm delighted and love to tell people that I was honored to be invited to work with Commissioner Macon. She is probably the most caring Commissioner of Education in the nation. And if you think about brain science, as she alluded, she knows more about it than others. So the fact that she was leading the Department of Education and invited me in continues to be a huge honor, and I was honored to be asked to greet you this morning. So as the Commissioner mentioned, research has shown us that as far as our children, our students are concerned, that social emotional learning increases in classroom work in all classroom and integrated in all classroom work, not just with a school counselor or a school guidance counselor, but shared with the experiences of all teachers to their students. But the impact is significant. It increases our students' sense of confidence. It increases and encourages greater school engagement. And of course, we hope graduation rates. At the same time, we do believe and we know that violence and challenging behaviors and emotional crises are reduced as students are addressed in a whole new way. There are lasting effects, and that's where I would like to briefly come in the world of primary prevention. As Commissioner mentioned, her work began in January of 2019, and shortly after I joined the Commissioner, she asked if I would support her chairing the Maine Governor's Office of Policy, Innovation, and the Future, Office of Opioid Response, Opioid Prevention Task Force to focus on preventing substance use disorders and related substance use disorders among our children and youth. And so Gordon Smith, director of the Office of Opioid Response, and I were honored to work together on the Opioid Task Force chaired by Commissioner Macon, bringing together educators, social workers, community health organizations, yes, the Maine National Guard, other Maine departments, which Anna May mentioned, to work together to address prevention of substance use and other related disorders in our youth. The Opioid Task Force realized that educators, community organizations, law enforcement, all wanted to work together to support our youth. And with the blessings of the Commissioner and Commission members, we worked tirelessly for 2 years, and one of our major wishes, hopes, and goals was to create a Maine-based, Maine-themed social emotional learning curriculum and resources and information to be shared at no cost through the Maine Department of Education website to educators, parents, statewide, nationally, and internationally. And SEL for me, which you are going to learn much more about soon, is the result of an amazing amount of work by team members from whom you will hear shortly. I am honored to say that Anna Hicks, our next speaker, who heads the Maine Children's Cabinet, comprised of 5 child-serving agencies, blessed and fostered and encouraged the ability to find funding to do this work, which brings us to today. Anna Hicks is amazing, competent, amazing manager and mom, and she is going to tell you a little bit about the role of the Children's Cabinet in bringing us to today. Thank you, Anna.
Great, thanks, Mary, so much. And wonderful, thank you for the nice introduction, but also a great description of the vision, and I'd say Commissioner Macon's vision and leadership around establishing a free and accessible social emotional learning curriculum for parents, for educators, and for others who work directly with students pre-K through 12. Just briefly, the Children's Cabinet, as Mary mentioned, is made up of 5 agencies serving children. The commissioners of those agencies are the members of the Children's Cabinet. So Commissioner Macon is one of the key members of the Children's Cabinet, along with the commissioner from the Department of Corrections, Labor, Health and Human Services, and Public Safety. Commissioner Lambrou serves as the chair of the Children's Cabinet. And we really, as the Children's Cabinet, and thank you to Commissioner Macon for her real leadership, along with key staff members who participate in the Children's Cabinet, as we pull together our priorities for the Children's Cabinet work, the social emotional learning curriculum was a key priority and strategy for ensuring that we can reach our goal of ensuring that all Maine youth enter adulthood healthy, connected to the workforce and or education. So this was really seen as a key priority in our work as we put together our goals and strategies. We were able, through the leadership of the commissioners, to secure one-time funding to support some of the startup costs for the free and accessible social emotional learning curriculum known as SEL for Me. And through our work, we were able to facilitate cross-agency conversations to ensure that as SEL for Me rolled out, it was aligned with efforts that were already underway through the Maine CDC to establish, to support schools to put in place Second Step as well as sources of strength. That work continues to align programming that already exists and ensure that we are not duplicating efforts, but actually augmenting efforts across agencies, and that there's open communication across the Department of Health and Human Services and the Department of Education in particular. And I'm going to turn it over to Bear Shea, who really led that effort to coordinate the rollout of SEL for Me, really led the effort to ensure that there were open communications across agencies as we did so, and that we learned from one another. So I'm happy to turn over to Bear, and thanks everyone for joining us today.
Thanks. Good morning, everyone. My name is Bear Shea. I'm the mental health and school counselor specialist here at the DOE. And I'd just like to talk a little bit about the process for getting SEL for Me and the other really excellent SEL resources that we have in the celebration of International SEL Day. One of the big asks that came about was looking at a way to have all of our school administrative units, all of our community programs, families to have access, equal access to resources that were aimed at the development of social emotional competencies. And really, Maine is a state that has urban areas and rural areas, and it was really important to make sure that not only was this material expert level and CASEL aligned, really showing the best practices in SEL that research has shown, but that it was really, it fit Maine and it fit the needs that we have in our state, and really the unique schools that we have all across our state, and that all of our schools would have access to that, so that we could create those safe schools where students could really thrive and be successful. And we really wanted to have a program and a system that was flexible, that was reliable, that educators could use, that really kept itself up to date, so that programming could be tailored for their specific needs, and making sure to bolster any of the existing social emotional programs that already existed. That's one of the great things in Maine, is that we really have a long history of social emotional learning in our classrooms, in our schools. And we wanted to make sure that any new program we brought in really was there to work side by side with that. We've had a robust school health program. We've also been lucky enough to have other SEL programs in schools. So we wanted to make sure that all worked together. Ultimately, we worked to bring the SEL for Me program to the Maine department. And this is a program that's owned by the DOE. This is a program that is unique to us, that we can actually control and edit and add and remove as needed. It's a pre-K through 12 social emotional learning program, which was also really important. We wanted to make sure that this was, the social emotional learning isn't something that was just focused on in primary school, but that, just like we focus on reading, just like we focus on math, building those SEL skills across the grade continuum from pre-K to 12 was really important. This is free to all schools, all parents, all community members, and consists of over 450 unique modules that are best practice aligned, developmentally appropriate, and really focus on those building blocks. Having the flexibility for a classroom teacher to be able to incorporate individual modules or build out a very specific approach through a school counseling comprehensive program, school social workers, as well as having that about using resources to support an entire culture within the school. In addition to the modules designed for students, there's also a supporting our staff and supporting our schools piece that we have put out that is really designed for bolstering supports for school educators, knowing that in the past 2 years of living this pandemic, the effect that it's had on educators themselves. And so making sure that those supports are there for those that are supporting students. That's been a really important initiative that we've taken on in addition to the SEL for Me work. And I'd really like to share that not only is this work been released now, but it is something that's ongoing. Kelly Bailey, who is our social emotional learning specialist in the department, which is a position that our commissioner created as a new position in 2019, she's been designing and revising and looking at this curriculum for the past 2 years, and she is leading a state SEL team to constantly examine and see what are the needs, what are individual school needs, what are the needs across our entire state. So Kelly Bailey has been just absolutely essential to that effort, as well as the other stakeholders and experts that have been part of that state SEL team. So I would just like to put a thank you out to all of them for all of their work. So you can see kind of where things started at the beginning with this important idea, knowing that it came from research and best practice, all the way through getting state support from lots of different departments, and now resulting in the SEL for Me program and our state SEL team for doing this excellent work. So I would just like to put a thank you out to that entire team, and I'm going to pass it back to Julie.
Thank you so much, Bear. I know as someone who came from the field to someone who is now with the department, I could not be more proud of the work that the four of you, all of the efforts put in to support social emotional learning. We're going to end our opening by sharing a wonderful public service announcement that our SEL specialist Kelly Bailey put together to lead our website, which I am so proud has gained some national attention. I'm so proud of Kelly's work. So we are going to end our morning by pointing you to our website and all of the activities that you can participate in today. I can't thank Commissioner Macon, Mary, Bear, Anna enough, and all of you for starting your morning with us. We wish you the best International SEL Day. And now I'm going to share Kelly's message to all of you.
Hello, my name is Kelly Doyle Bailey, and I'm the Social Emotional Learning Specialist for the Maine Department of Education. I want to welcome you to our official webpage for International SEL Day 2022. The Maine Department of Education is committed to our vision for all Maine schools to be inclusive, healthy, safe, and supportive communities where every student and staff feel valued, represented, seen, and thrive, which is why we think SEL Day is so important. We've generated a number of resources and events for you to participate in on Friday, March 11th, 2022. This is the third annual International SEL Day. This is a day that is sponsored by the national nonprofits SEL for Us and the Urban Assembly, and is fully supported by CASEL, the Collaborative for Academic and Social Emotional Learning. A few of these events will occur prior to March 11th, so please click the link below to find out details. Regardless of your role in supporting Maine's youth in our schools, there's something for everyone. Some of these sessions will be live, but many will be recorded, so you can participate however it works best for you. We've provided everything from free and archived resources for educators to use in your daily lesson plans to offerings that will support your own adult emotional well-being. On behalf of Commissioner Macon and the Department of Education, I want to thank you for everything you do every day to keep our Maine children safe and connected, and knowing without a doubt how much they matter. That's the true essence of SEL and why we're celebrating. Be well and stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. Have a wonderful day and go out and celebrate International SEL Day for what works for you. Thank you.